The Shang dynasty was the first dynasty of China, ruling in the Yellow River Valley between 1600 BC and 1046 BC. Their civilization was based mainly on agriculture, hunting, and raising of animals. Some of their main inventions were the yoke, harness, spoked wheel, ivory carvings, jade ornaments, and silk textiles. They also developed a writing consisting of 3,000 symbols, along with a decimal system and a 12-month calendar with 365 and a quarter days. The Zhou dynasty was the second dynasty in China. It lasted from 1122 to 221 BC. It was dubbed the Celestial Empire because they came up with the idea of the mandate of heaven. Confucianism was introduced in this dynasty, along with a feudal government very similar to the European feudal government. Agricultural techniques were also advancing, including field grid patterns, systematic irrigation, fertilization, crop rotation, and animal-drawn plows. Iron technology also increased significantly. Cities developed and people became administrative and religious centers where it was possible to find skilled craftsmen. It was one of the first dynasties to start collecting books. Next up on the list is the Qin dynasty. The Qin dynasty lasted from 221 BC to 206 BC. This dynasty adhered to legalist principles which allowed Qin to rule the population from a centralized power structure. They also instituted a uniform written language resulting in communication with nomadic tribes and passing along information on how to negotiate or fight. Roads meant greater connections between provinces and major cities. The construction of the Great Wall of China marked national boundaries that led to greater unity. The dynasty standardized all weights and measures that led to more efficient commerce and would allow subsequent dynasties to develop a taxation system. The dynasty also standardized the Chinese currency, adding to greater commerce. One other lasting impact of the Qin dynasty is the power of a leader's personality in China. The fourth dynasty was the Han dynasty, which was from 202 BC to 220 AD. This dynasty had many developments, including the Silk Road and papermaking. Along with those, iron technology, glazed pottery, wheelbarrow, seismograph, compass, ship's rudder, stirrups, embroidery for decorating garments, hot air balloons, and the Chinese examination system. Also, the inventing of the loom set the tone for the silk weaving during that era. It was because of their invention that silk could be marketed as an expensive piece of article. The Sui dynasty. The Sui dynasty lasted from 581 to 618 AD. Their main contributions were porcelain, block printing, Grand Canal, and coinage standardization. That's all we have on the Sui dynasty. The Tang dynasty. The Tang dynasty lasted from 618 to 907 AD. Many impacts they made were from inventions of tea, scroll painting, the three doctrines, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism, gunpowder, civil service exams, brandy and whiskey, and the flamethrower. The Song dynasty. The Song dynasty lasted from 960 to 1279 AD. During the Song dynasty, they unified China and ended the five-dynasty period beforehand, known as the Ten Kingdoms period. The Song dynasty created diplomatic relations with other countries, as well as found new ways to bolster strong economy in the south. During the Song dynasty, they came up with several inventions. A few are the banknotes, a standing navy, and they created a very socially based lifestyle. The Yuan dynasty. The Yuan dynasty lasted from 1271 to 1368 AD. The Yuan dynasty was the first dynasty ruled by non-native Chinese people. It was actually ruled by the Great Khan, was what they came up with, or Kublai Khan at this time. Cultural exchange and musical instruments were a big part and impact of the Yuan dynasty. A few of their accomplishments is they controlled most of present-day China, surrounding areas in Mongolia. They came up with several musical instruments. Printing techniques came about, porcelain, and medical literature. The Ming dynasty. The Ming dynasty lasted from 1368 to 1644 AD. It consisted of an orderly government, making it more sociably structured. The creation of self-sufficient communities came about during the Ming Dynasty, as well as the Forbidden City. Vast navy and standing troops, about 1 million, came about during the Ming Dynasty. Self-sufficient communities and trade with Portuguese, Somalians, Spanish, and Dutch were apparent in the Ming Dynasty. The Qing Dynasty. The Qing Dynasty lasted from 1644 to 1910 AD. The Manchus ruled during this time period, and 2% of the population of China was Manchu. During this time, Neo-Confucianism entered into China's religious area. China started to eliminate all the danger on their borders by conquering Outer Mongolia and moving into Central Asia, as well as Taiwan and Tibet. European influence began to move into Chinese thinking during this time. During the Republic of Chinese era, there's really not that much on Google. So, it was a republic in China of ruliness after the Qing fell. So there's that. After the republic fell, Mao Zedong, a Chinese communist leader, came to power from 1949 to 1976. Some good things that came from his ruling, or however you want to say it, was women's status increased, improved literacy, and he provided housing for many individuals. Mao was named one of the 100 most influential people in the 20th century by Time magazine.